Remember that time you were served dessert at a party and you just knew you never wanted to eat it again? Well, that's how most of us feel about a lot of the 1970s desserts. While some were simply too sweet, others were unnecessarily thick, almost impenetrable. So we said never again do we want to try these 20 desserts from the 1970s because they were the worst, starting with Christmas pudding. Picture a rich, steamed Christmas pudding, dense with dried fruits such as raisins, currants, and sultanas soaked in brandy or rum. It is enhanced with suet for richness and bound by dark brown sugar, breadcrumbs, and flour. Ever wonder why Christmas pudding is strictly reserved for Yuletide feasts? Well, its roots trace back centuries to medieval England. It was a symbol of wealth and prosperity. In the 1970s, families anticipated the lighting of the Christmas pudding, eager to find hidden charms and coins for luck. But despite the charm, the hidden charms in this thick, overly sweet treat can cause dental issues, making it hit or miss. Remember those festive packages that came with snowy landscapes and carolers? They couldn't hide the fact that many hated the obligatory bite of this heavy, fruit-laden relic, so it's no surprise that this dessert is one we're happy to leave in the past. Speaking of thick foods, rice pudding falls right under that list. It's exactly what you think. It looks like something quite close to ice cream, but made with rice. So, what's the secret behind this creamy concoction? It all starts with a cup of rice simmered in milk until it reaches a heavenly consistency. Add a sprinkle of spice and a dash of sweetness, and you've got rice pudding. In the 1970s, families loved it as a budget-friendly meal, perfect for stretching ingredients. Its versatility made it a star in both sweet and savory dishes. But many found it bland and mushy, with a texture that could be likened to baby food. Its consistency and lack of flavor left many unimpressed and unsatisfied. Some of us really don't care if it was Grandma's favorite thing to make. We are happy to leave it right where it belongs, right there alongside mayonnaise cake. I don't know who thought this was a great idea, but mayonnaise cake combines creamy mayo with cake batter, promising a tender crumb and rich flavor. The cake is made by combining typical cake ingredients like flour, sugar, eggs, and cocoa powder. The twist comes with the addition of mayonnaise, which replaces the need for butter or oil, providing the necessary fats and moisture. The mayo is mixed with water and vanilla extract before being added to the dry ingredients. Homemakers loved it for its convenience and clever kitchen shortcut. Despite its moist texture, the idea of mayo in a cake was off-putting to many. Manufacturers marketed mayo as the secret to baking perfection, but let's be honest, the concept left a lot to be desired. While it's a nostalgic nod to culinary creativity, mayonnaise cake is one 70s dessert that most are happy to leave behind. Did anyone else's family try this unusual treat? No shades to the inventor, but I have the same feeling about mincemeat pie. It sounds like meat pie, but meat is not the star ingredient. Rather, it's made from spiced fruits and sweet, sometimes with a hint of meat. Historically, mincemeat pies trace their origins to medieval England and originally contained real meat. The preparation back then involved finely chopping beef or mutton and mixing it with a variety of dried fruits like raisins, currants, and apples, along with spices such as cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. Sweat, beef or mutton fat, was added for richness, and the mixture was soaked in brandy or another liquor to enhance the flavor. This blend was then left to mature, allowing the flavors to meld together before being encased in a pastry crust and baked. But by the 70s, the meat was mostly gone, but the name stuck. Who remembers those ads claiming these pies were just like Grandma's? Some people may miss it, but we can all agree that the mixture was overly rich and oddly textured. Did anyone else ever wonder why this pie still lingers on holiday tables? Maybe it's time to leave this peculiar dessert in the past where it belongs. This next dessert is the notorious liver ice cream. Yes, you heard that right. This bizarre 70s creation combined liver with the creamy delight of ice cream. Made from liver puree, sugar, cream, and sometimes a dash of brandy or vanilla, this dessert was an acquired taste, to say the least. The preparation involved blending the liver into a smooth paste, mixing it with the other ingredients and churning it like regular ice cream. It started as a trend in the 70s that embraced experimental and questionable flavors. Unfortunately, liver ice cream quickly fell out of favor. It was a disastrous attempt to combine savory and sweet. But in the end, the unsettling flavor mix of liver and ice cream left most people cringing and questioning the culinary experiment. Can you imagine the shock of finding liver in your dessert? Although they claimed it was healthy, even the most daring eaters found this oddity hard to swallow. It's safe to say this is one 70s dessert we're happy to leave behind. Who could forget the polarizing taste of Anise Cookies? They were made from simple ingredients like flour, sugar, butter, eggs, and a generous amount of anise extract or seeds. Traditionally, they were mixed, rolled out, cut into festive shapes, and baked to a light, crispy perfection. While they became a holiday staple among European immigrant families in the US, many kids found these cookies the least appealing on the plate. Did your family have an anise cookie recipe passed down from great-grandma? But their strong licorice taste isn't for everyone. It's no wonder these cookies are more of a memory than a modern-day favorite. We left the old and fell in love with new stuff, and there's no going back. This next one is Jell-O Salad, a dessert that combines flavored gelatin with mix-ins like canned fruit, shredded carrots, marshmallows, and even cottage cheese, just throwing a bunch of ingredients at each other. Traditionally, the gelatin was dissolved in hot water, mixed with the ingredients, and left to set in the fridge. Jell-O Salad's roots go back to the mid-20th century when convenience foods became popular, but it truly hit its stride in the 70s. It was on every potluck and holiday table. Remember those kitschy commercials that were said to be fun and festive dishes? Despite the cheerful marketing, many secretly hated this jiggly creation. Who else remembers poking at it with a fork, trying to understand the mysterious bits? While it's a nostalgic trip down memory lane, Jell-O Salad is one retro dessert that most of us are happy to leave in the past, with no regrets. But nothing said, cringe as loudly as this next dessert. It's called Grasshopper Pie. This no-bake pie combined a chocolate cookie crust and a filling of whipped cream, marshmallow fluff, and crème de menthe, giving it that unmistakable minty flavor and color. Preparation was simple. Mix the marshmallow and crème de menthe, fold in the whipped cream, pour into the crust, and chill. Grasshopper Pie peaked in popularity in the 70s thanks to its striking appearance and ease of preparation. Despite the hype, its overly sweet and minty flavor gave it many one-star reviews. So they had to go. And why was it even named after an insect? Yuck! And to the dessert, that often turned out wrong. Forgotten cookies were made from egg whites, sugar, vanilla, and chocolate chips. These meringue cookies were baked by whipping the egg whites and sugar, folding in the chips, and leaving them in a preheated oven that was turned off. This method promised a perfect cookie, but often resulted in inconsistent textures, from too dry to too chewy. Cookies are supposed to be nice, aren't they? But forgotten cookies had other plans. Its name is mostly because you could forget them in the oven and they'd turn out nice. But now, we want to end this toxic relationship. While they hold a special place in retro dessert lore, forgotten cookies are one treat. Many are happy to forget. Next is a hot dog and marshmallow casserole. Okay, combining hot dogs and marshmallows in a dessert was as bad as it sounds. This casserole was made with sliced hot dogs, mini marshmallows, canned pineapple chunks, and a sweet glaze made from brown sugar and mustard. The oddly sweet and savory concoction was layered and baked until everything melded together. The dessert likely emerged during the 70s era of experimental recipes. Most families that served these got side eyes. Despite the novelty, this dish was more a conversation piece than a delight. How many of you would dare serve this today? Thankfully, hot dog and marshmallow casserole is an experiment that now belongs to the past. Next up, we have the Cornflake Tart, a 70s dessert that brought the crunch of breakfast cereal to the table. This tart features a short crust pastry base filled with a sticky mixture of golden syrup, butter, and sugar, topped with crunchy cornflakes. The preparation involved baking the pastry shell, pouring in the warm syrup mixture, and sprinkling the cornflakes on top before popping it back in the oven. While it was a school dinner classic in the UK, loved for its sugary hit and satisfying crackle, its sheer sugar overload made it a tooth-achingly sweet treat. Not to mention that it often resulted in sticky, hard-to-clean baking pans. Did anyone else have this as a childhood favorite? Well, you're grown now and wise, and you know that all that sugar is not good for you. This crunchy, sticky dessert is best enjoyed in small doses, if at all. The potato chip cookies were made for people who can't decide if they want it sweet or salty. These cookies, made from butter, sugar, flour, and crushed potato chips, were staples at bake sales and potlucks. The preparation was simple. Mix the ingredients, form the dough into balls, flatten slightly, and bake until golden. The result was a cookie with a tender, buttery texture and a salty crunch. Despite their simplicity, these cookies were polarizing, with people either loving or loathing the salty-sweet combination. Did your family have a secret recipe for these? Because mine did. While they might be a quirky reminder of experimentation, potato chip cookies are one 70s treat most are happy to forget. Same with this beer float pie. The root beer float pie did not have to ever be made. It combined root beer and vanilla ice cream into a chilled, creamy concoction. Made by blending root beer concentrate with vanilla pudding mix and whipped topping, then pouring it into a graham cracker crust and freezing it, the pie tasted just like a root beer float. It was popular for summer barbecues and birthday parties, and even the ads claimed it was refreshing and easy preparation. Despite its charm, the intense root beer flavor was too much for many. I mean, if I wanted to drink herbs, I'd just do so, right? The artificial root beer flavor often overwhelmed the senses. Plus, its frothy texture sometimes felt like eating foam, making it less enjoyable than a real float. Root beer float pie is a dessert many are happy to leave in the past. Ambrosia Salad. This colorful mix featured canned fruit cocktails, mini marshmallows, shredded coconut, and sour cream or whipped topping, sometimes with maraschino cherries and pecans. That's a lot of ingredients for a dessert. Simply mix and chill the ingredients until flavors meld. Ambrosia Salad, rooted in Southern cuisine, became a staple at family gatherings and potlucks. Remember those bright, jiggly bowls that seemed to glow with an unnatural color? This was it. But even though we loved it then, the sweet and tangy combination doesn't do it for us anymore. It's fun to reminisce, but most of us are happy to have left Ambrosia Salad in the past. Ever seen marshmallows in a salad? If you lived in the 70s, your answer would be yes. This fluffy mix featured mini marshmallows, canned fruit cocktails, whipped cream, and sometimes shredded coconut or chopped nuts. The preparation was simple. All the ingredients were mixed and chilled in the fridge. It often appeared at family gatherings, church potlucks, and holiday dinners, and was touted for its ease and kid-friendly appeal. Many found the combination of marshmallows and fruit a bit too much, which is why nobody makes them anymore. It often resulted in a gelatinous mess that lacked any real texture contrast. The sweetness overpowered any other flavors, making it hard to eat more than a few spoonfuls. So its high sugar content and taste have given way to today's less sugary options, making this dessert one many are happy to leave behind. Next on our retro dessert journey is the surprising tomato soup cake. I know what you're thinking, tomato soup and cake. That's exactly why it made the list. The ingredients read like a standard spice cake: flour, sugar, eggs, butter, raisins, cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. But the addition of tomato soup lends moisture and a subtle tang. If you want to recreate this, you mix the wet and dry ingredients separately, combine them, and bake until a toothpick comes out clean. Tomato cake soup originated during the Great Depression and saw a revival in the 70s due to its quirky charm. It was one of those weird recipes in family cookbooks. Did your family ever bake this cake? While it's a testament to home cooks' creativity and resilience, tomato soup cake is a quirky piece of food history that some might still find delicious today, but many are happy to leave in the past. Next up is the rather mysterious Prune Whip, a dessert made from pureed prunes, egg whites, sugar, and lemon juice whipped into a fluffy, mousse-like consistency. Despite being marketed for its elegant and healthful qualities, prunes were never a popular choice with kids, who often looked at this dessert with suspicion. Like, what on earth are these? Did your family try to pass this off as a posh treat, only to meet with turned-up noses? Well, mine did. While some appreciated its subtle sweetness and airy texture, others couldn't get past the prune base. It often reminded diners of medicinal prune juice rather than a treat. Today, Prune Whip is more of a culinary curiosity, remembered by some and forgotten by others. It's a light, fruity reminder of an adventurous era, but one that many are happy to leave behind, just like this green-colored oddity called Lime Jell-O Cottage Cheese Salad. This dessert combined lime-flavored Jell-O, cottage cheese, crushed pineapple, and sometimes nuts or marshmallows. The result was a wobbly, creamy, sweet-sour concoction. The mix of lime Jell-O and cottage cheese created a texture often similar to curdled milk. So it's surprising how this ever became a party staple. Popular at potlucks and holiday gatherings, this salad was often showcased in fancy molds. Who remembers those vintage ads promising a refreshing and nutritious treat? Despite its vivid color and festive presentation, many found the combination of lime Jell-O and cottage cheese too strange. Strange enough, we had to put the nail in the coffin so it would never come back. Nice, another dessert named after an anima. Spam monkey bread defies dessert norms. This dish combined the savory taste of Spam with the sweetness of traditional monkey bread, resulting in a curious mix of flavors. Preparation involved cubing Spam and layering it with biscuit dough, brown sugar, butter, and sometimes cinnamon. Baked until golden and caramelized, this sticky, pull-apart bread was a potluck staple. Did your family try this as a quirky experiment, only to leave guests scratching their heads? Well, Spam monkey bread often left diners avoiding a second helping. The lingering smell of Spam mixed with cinnamon and sugar during baking was enough to put off many guests. And the flavor? An odd combo that made it hard to enjoy as a dessert or a savory dish. We had to delete it, like the Spam in our emails. Who would have thought to mix sauerkraut with chocolate cake? Yet, chocolate sauerkraut cake stands as a peculiar blend where finely chopped sauerkraut is mixed into rich chocolate batter, aiming for moisture and a tangy twist. The sauerkraut, though inconspicuous and well-rinsed, introduces a complexity that contrasts sharply with the sweet chocolate, often leaving an unexpected tang that many find off-putting. This dessert was a product of adventurous home baking, experimenting with disparate ingredients. However, its peculiar flavor combination rarely wins hearts, relegating it more to the realm of culinary novelty than a beloved treat. Thus, chocolate sauerkraut cake remains a creative but quirky footnote in dessert history. Curious what other sweet mishaps the 70s had in store? If so, like this video, click subscribe, and stay tuned for more nostalgia trips.